My step-aunt was killed at Yellowstone last year. Hiking around Yellowstone with a bunch of family. Step-aunt and her kids, dad and me and my brothers. We're following a guide that will take us around some really cool hot springs. It was all really beautiful and awesome. We had a super good time, so we were all in really good moods. My step-aunt is like, "Hey, have you guys heard about hot potting?" She tells us it's where you go and find a hot spring and bathe in it because it's really good for you. Automatically, I think this is a really bad idea, but I don't say anything because I didn't want to be the killjoy. She gets everyone hyped up, and we all start looking around the trail for any small pools. I tell my younger brother that I think this is a really bad idea, and he says, "Me too." We decide we need to tell someone. Suddenly, we all hear my step-aunt start screaming, and we all know it's bad. I've never heard a scream like that. We find her standing waist deep in this pool. The water is red. At first, I think it's because of the minerals, but when I get closer, I can see it's because she's being boiled alive. God, I really don't like thinking about this, but she was literally being cooked. Her skin was turning white and flaking off into the water, and she was bleeding super heavily. She was wearing cargo shorts. The water was so hot it made the metal snap basically fuse with her skin. She tried to take her shorts off, but a bunch of the skin on her waist came with it. There was literally nothing we could do. We couldn't even get close to her. We tried making a rope out of the clothes to throw to her, but she couldn't move. My older brother ran to go get help so he didn't have to watch her die. I kind of hate him for that. I will never fucking forget her looking me in the eye. Like she couldn't understand why any of it was happening. Eventually, she started swaying, and then she fell. By then, she wasn't even screaming anymore. Not mine, but a friend of mine. Story below from his perspective. Be me. Be 2009. Be rail fan. Be involved in various projects with the railway company. This time, my community got a project from the company to restore an old diesel locomotive. Head to the train depot in the city. Huge-ass depot was built back in 1866. Lots of spoopy stories involved. Depot area also include boneyard for retired train coaches and DMUs. The old diesel locomotive is put to restoration process. Day 1 proceeds smoothly, or so we thought. Be midnight after. Thunderstorm outside. Chilling with depot staffs and mechanics. Blast some music and cracking open some cold ones. Exchanging jokes and some bullshit stories. Suddenly, heard rustling and steps on the roof. It's probably local cats. Yeah, okay. 2 of my fellow rail fans involved in the project went to the toilet. Too much drink. The toilet located outside the depot. 1 hour later, both didn't show up. Okay, what the fuck? Depot staff suggests we conduct a search. Borrowed some flashlights and headlamps. Head outside embracing the thunderstorm, searching for 2 men in pitch black darkness among train graveyards. After 1 hour searching, one depot mechanic found them at the top of an old concrete water tower, pitch dark in the middle of the thunderstorm, among the train boneyard. Water tower that used to store water for steam locomotive water refuels. They sat on the top of the water tank, motionlessly, stares blankly. Hey, get down! No response from both of them. Keeps staring blankly with no expressions at all. Then, suddenly, both of them starts chanting an unknown song or mantra. One of the depot mechanic that has some insight about local folklores recognized the chants. It's an ancient chant. Not possible a modern man could know this, unless he was born in a mythical-oriented family. The staff asks if both families has a relation to mysticism. No, they're very religious. Well, shit. Time to call local spiritual figure. Depot overseer, who's aware of all shitstorm that is currently happening, immediately puts up his phone and calls his acquaintance. Apparently, some local spiritual man. Explained to me that this is not the first case here of paranormal activities. There are lots of paranormal reports in this depot area, even since 1950s. Are you fucking kidding me? .gif. 30 minutes later, local spiritual man arrived at train depot. Overseer explained the whole situation. Nodded calmly. Heads to the scene. Both of my apparently possessed friends still sit motionlessly, chanting the ancient mantras or some bullshit. The spiritual man climbs up to the top of the tower, illuminated only by the flashlights from staffs below. Doing his things for a good minute, and suddenly, my friends came back to their senses. Evacuated both of them. Heads back to the depot. They said that, when on their way to the toilet outside, they saw some female figures dressed in red. Tried to run back inside, but after that, they don't remember anything. Said that they only remember that they were running back inside the depot, and suddenly found themselves drenched in rainwater in the middle of a thunderstorm at midnight, sitting on top of the old water tower. Depot overseer intensely paying attention to the stories. Said that this wasn't the first time the red figures showed up. Local spiritual man suggests to put some right as a gesture of apology. Asks why. He said that unseen beings near the depot are disturbed by your loud music. Are you shitting me just because some shitty music that wave? Eventually agreed to commence the rite. Disturbance stops. No more bizarre things and weird reports coming after, until the project finished up 8 days later. Playing GoldenEye in the lounge one afternoon. I was probably about 7 at the time. Mom comes in and gets mad that I've been playing video all day. Tells me to go outside and play in the yard. We lived right on the edge of a housing estate, so it was all bush behind our house. There was a gate on the back fence, so you could easily go exploring. Get on trampoline for a bit. Hear my mom's voice. Over here, Anon. She's standing among the trees past our back fence, signaling for me to come over. Come on, Anon. I want to show you something. I start walking towards the fence. Can see her through the fence poles. As I'm walking over, I notice that she's got a massive grin on her face, and her stance is creepily straight. Realize that something is off. My mom never acts like this. Turn back the house and see my mom in the kitchen window. Get that sinking feeling in gut. Don't look back, just sprint towards house. Hear hush, guttural moan coming from behind the fence. Bust in the house and run into mom's arms crying. Tell her my story. Can tell she's freaked out. Gets dad to go searching area behind our house when he gets back from work. Don't let me play in backyard unsupervised after that. We move a few months later. Pretty sure this incident was the deciding factor in the move. Okay, here's some OC. I like reading stuff about cryptids, but I don't buy into all this supernatural stuff. This story is my mother's, and to be honest, I have always believed it. Albeit, I still don't consider it supernatural. Be my mother, 20s, working as nurse in Wales. There are 2 kids, an infant boy and a girl, between 6 and 9. Sorry, can't remember exactly. Both have cystic fibrosis or something like that. Terminal. My mom is really fond of kids, and has a soft spot for the little girl. For the months she's been there, they get close and talk a lot. X months later, the little boy dies. One day, not long after, my mom gets off a shift in the evening, goes home and does whatever, and goes to bed. Dreams of a black background with the little girl standing there. She says something along the lines of, I wanted to say goodbye and thank you, and I don't want you to be sad. Boy's name? And I can run and play now, which we could never do before, so please don't be sad. Dream over. My mom instantly wakes up. Time is like 12:15 or something. Mom gets dressed, drives to the hospital, goes to the nurse on duty at the desk, and asks to see little girl. Nurse looks at her like she's crazy. Little girl went into cardiac arrest at 12:15 and died. Basically, that's it. Now, my mom has told me this story many times when I was younger, but recently, we were looking for photos of me as a kid for my fiancé to see, and we stumbled across an old photo of my mom, another nurse, and the 2 kids. And she told my fiancé the story. I, of course, already knew it, but I got this very strong feeling from looking at the kids. Looking at the little boy made me feel like there was a lot I didn't know. Like, I had many things to learn. And looking at the little girl made me feel like everything was okay, and I could be very happy. When I was 13, I had a sleepover with a bunch of other girls at a friend's house. We decided to play the Ouija board at like 1 in the morning since no one can sleep. A couple girls chicken out. Rest of us, maybe 5 girls, are all sitting in a circle with our hands on the planchette, asking usual stupid questions. Not getting any answers except ones that are obviously one of us fucking with the others. Someone makes it say some swear word or whatever, and all of us start laughing. Atmosphere is basically ruined. Not even touching the planchette anymore. Stop laughing after a while, and realize we can't find it. It is literally nowhere. Someone crawls under the bed to look for it in case it ended up there. Girl under the bed stops talking. She comes out looking confused and freaked out. Asks friend if we can move her bed. We do. There's the planchette. Except it's fucking half sticking out of the solid wood floor. Like it melted into it. When we touched it, it's room temperature, not hot. We can't move it, even a little. None of us know what to do or how to explain it. End up moving her bed back and chucking the Ouija board outside. Friend moves out years later. Parents never notice it somehow. Probably still there, to be honest. I've posted this before, but because it happened to me, and I still remember it every time I eat pizza. Be me, 6 or 7 years old. Mexican, but visiting relatives in San Antonio. Walking all day around malls and shit. Tired as fuck, and very hungry. My great uncle Robert, aka Grunkle Babby, suggests we go get some pizza. Mom, Grunkle, Big Sis, older cousin, and I go to Pizza Hut. It's like 10:30, so town's pretty empty and dark. Since I was shy as fuck, I was just sitting with Mom while Grunkle Babby ordered. Suddenly, Sis and cousin come crying to the table. They say there's a vampire outside. I peek out the window, and there's a really skinny pale guy outside. Sis and cousin insist that he's a vampire. Mom talks to Grunkle, and he agrees to just go outside and tell the guy that he's scaring us, and to just go away. From what I can tell, guy mutters something, and Grunkle starts yelling at him. Grunkle's pretty pale, but suddenly turns red and starts grabbing the guy. He screams, "Norma, tell them to call the fucking cops!" Jesus fucking Christ. The cops arrive and take the guy, who didn't resist at all. We ended up taking our pizza home. It was Hawaiian. When I turned, I think, 16, I asked my mom what that shit was about, and she told me the guy wanted to buy my sister and cousin, and asked Grunkle Babby how much for both of them. Be me in hospital due to surgery. In prep now, half asleep. They're telling me all the boring details. We will start cutting here, etc. In the OR now. Sleep now. Right before I pass out, I see a doctor in black scrubs face mask and glasses. Wake up 8 hours later for a 3-hour surgery. Notice more stitches than they told me. Scream bloody murder. Nurse books it in. Just in a panic, screaming, crying, the whole 9 yards. Fall asleep without knowing. Wake up 8 hours later. There's 2 doctors, 3 nurses, and a cop. No fucking clue what's going on. My main doctor says, "No need to panic. You're in your bed. Just had stuff, etc." Turns out, I died twice on a table somehow. They nicked my heart once, and I almost bled out. Pretty sure I saw death before they put me under. I went in for stomach surgery and almost died. How the fuck do you nick a heart on stomach surgery? Here's a strange and kind of funny one since someone is here. I'll make it quick. Be a long time ago, wasted out of my mind. Weed, coke, X, booze. Yeah, I was a real shithead. Have quit the drugs years ago. Went out to get some smokes because I felt like some fresh air and a nice walk. Come back. Headed to my upstairs apartment. Had just moved in. Went to wrong apartment. Walk into wrong apartment. Short, fat cholo lives there. Puts his gun to my face and walks me back into the apartment courtyard, threatening to kill me. Hands up. Apologize. Don't want any trouble. Explain to him that I'm just wasted and trying to go home. Homie immediately breaks down crying and puts his arms up around my neck. Tells me he's on meth and really wants to quit. Pat his back and talk to him. We had a real heart-to-heart. Tells me he will always be there for me. Go back home. Just another day I'm glad I didn't die. Alright, well, I'll contribute. I posted a couple stories about my friend's haunted duplex over the past week. I was on the phone with him earlier while he was driving home from visiting his girlfriend in another city while she's at school. A couple quickies, nothing too spoopy. Befriend. His girlfriend's aunt lives in the attached duplex. Uncle visits for a weekend. As I said in a previous thread, a woman died in there. There's a picture of an elderly couple that was in the house, and for God knows what reason, she keeps it in the spare room. Uncle walks past open door. Heard some chatter from in the room. Pokes his head in. The portrait of these two people were looking at each other, having a conversation. Quickly stop and return to normal position. Portrait eyes watch him for the remainder of the weekend, glaring at him. Why didn't they toss out the picture? Probably so as not to seem disrespectful, though at the very least, she could have contacted any surviving relatives to see if they wanted the picture, but I always felt skeeved about just throwing out someone else's family pictures. This morning, or yesterday, not sure. Friend made friends with other neighbor. Call him Jay. Jay is asked by Buddy to feed cats, Molly and Tyrone. Molly's a good cat, but I cover my wallet when I'm not reading that. Jay feeds the cats and sticks around to give them some attention. Molly sits by a window in the kitchen, which is right by the back door, which is by the basement stairs. He's petting her and hears, "Psst, hey, come here," coming from basement. He fucks off in a hurry. Calls Buddy. "I'm never going in your house again." It's getting a little worse lately. I think we may be agitating it, so maybe we should pump the brakes. The other side had someone come in and smudge the place 2 weeks ago, but things are getting spoopy. I thought it was funny at first, but now I'm getting kinda spooked. I like a little scared by seeing some shadows move, but talking paintings and whispers asking to come downstairs is where I'm gonna draw a line. Be me, 24, and an alcoholic. Staying at my great aunt's house in New Hampshire, taking care of her. Start to play cards with her to pass the time and keep her spirits up. Starts telling me about a local urban legend, Tuxedo Man. Tuxedo Man loves to dance, Anon. He's such a wonderful dancer. Auntie Tess, who is Tuxedo Man? Anon, Tuxedo Man was the owner of this really swanky motel back in the day, but he passed away in a boating accident. Swanky motel. Auntie Tess gets winded talking and tells me she's out for the night. Time to get shit-faced.jpg. Pour myself a whiskey tonic and climb onto the couch to watch some shows. Old TV starts to get blurry, so I shut off the TV and try to turn it back on. Remote stops working. Batteries must be dead. Open the back of the remote. No batteries were even in there. Stand up to go into the kitchen, and the floor is soaked. All of it. Squish-squash to the kitchen to find batteries and a towel. As I'm in the kitchen, the TV turns on and starts playing a song from Music Choice called Navy Blue, or some shit. I go back into the living room ready to throw some batteries at anything I saw. TV turns off. Music continues. Floor is still soaked. Get the remote working and press the power button. Instantly, the song and station change to I Want to Dance with Somebody. Nope.png. I get it to stop when I put on ESN, and the fucked up shit stopped. I don't really believe in ghosts. I think a lot of urban legends are just fairy tales. But Tuxedo Man was real. Apparently he was usually seen dancing in a tuxedo on the beach, under street lights near the old motel, and in the motel proper. Naturally, he always appeared drenched. Okay, hold on. I normally don't fucking put in my comment. But the guy discovers Tuxedo Man after he's drunk. He probably just kept the fucking freezer open. I don't really believe in ghosts, and I think urban legends are fairy tales. But one time the TV turned on to a music channel, so Tuxedo Man's real. Fuck you. Fuck you. So stupid. Fuck you.